The Middle East is still in a little bit of tense times, let's say that. We have rockets are now being fired both directions from Israel, outside and into Israel, and it's kind of a mess over there. And so we don't spend a lot of time on this channel talking geopolitics. And so we don't really have much of a point to say here other than to just sort of observe what's happening and just recognize that this stuff is still happening in the world, which is just really unfortunate. So here I want to start off by going back over to the Jerusalem Post. Netanyahu warns of long IDF Gaza campaign after a rocket barrage on Tel Aviv. 3 Israelis were killed on Tuesday, that's today, or probably nighttime over there now. Over 700 rockets were fired at Israel since Monday. Bus struck by a rocket in Holon, south of Tel Aviv. A woman was killed, another person was critically wounded in Rishon LeZion after terrorists in the Gaza Strip fired a barrage of rockets in the direction of Tel Aviv late Tuesday night, setting off sirens throughout the center of the country. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Benny Gantz gave a joint statement Tuesday night declaring that the violence will continue for some time. And that's kind of what it looks like, is both sides here kind of bracing for a long, extended conflict. Netanyahu, defense minister over in Israel, saying, brace yourselves, this stuff is coming and might be around for a little bit. We have a quick clip here of the scene from, I think this was on May 10th, I believe. Yeah, May 10th. This was an air raid siren that went off from Jerusalem. Eerie sound. So very ominous sound, not looking good. That was yesterday. Then right before we got on the show, I did a quick screen record of this clip. There's a city in Israel called Lod, and it's a mixed city. We have, it's mixed Arab, mixed Jewish city southeast of Tel Aviv. So apparently the mayor came on TV, just said on live TV, quote, "We have completely lost control of the city and the streets are witnessing a civil war between Arabs and Jews." And so this is a clip from that. And you can see it. What it looks like. So it kind of looks like they're setting up an autonomous zone over there, right? We're familiar with those here in Arizona. Now, sad stuff. Honestly, it bums me out that we're still fighting over this stuff. Hamas and Islamic Jihad have paid and will continue to pay for their actions, says Netanyahu. We are all mourning those killed, praying for those who were injured. Give our full support to the IDF and Israeli security forces. Campaign will take time. Israel has the right and obligation to act. Will continue to do so, says Gantz. Israel struck 500 targets, killing dozens of terrorists, said IDF Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Aviv Kovadi. And we will continue extensive strikes against Gaza. So, now, as somebody who doesn't follow this stuff closely, I'm not Jewish, I'm not, Palestinian, and I am somebody who is, quite concerned about the state of our own country. When I watch this stuff, it just feels like to me, what we see from our media is just a propaganda war from both sides. Both sides come out and they just start telling us how it is, right? It's, suddenly, Israel is this massive victim that has been on the receiving end of, the weight of the world for a long period of time, if you listen to them and their news stories. Same thing on the other side of the aisle, right? The other side of the media say, no, they're the aggressors. They're the one that are responsible for all of the problems in the world. And neither one of them, those things is true. And my entire life, we've been dealing with this type of stuff. I mean, I remember as a kid watching these same images, watching, people throwing rocks at tanks going, what the heck are they doing? Are we still fighting over, what is this, religion? We're still fighting over this right now? I understand how important it is. I'm not trying to belittle this, but we're killing each other over a strip of land. I gotta confess some ignorance on it. I just don't get it. I understand it from a theocratic point of view and perspective, but I just don't get it. I don't know why we as a society can't solve this problem. The holy wars were what, 1200s? We're like 1,000 years later and we're still fighting this stuff. We didn't get it out of our system from like 1,000 to 1400 AD. We still got to keep doing this. All right. I guess we'll just keep doing it then. Emily Schrader says, shocking scenes from central Israel, Holon, where an autobus was hit directly by a rocket from Gaza. So here's this video. So nice, just out for an evening stroll, and you got rockets flying down into your neighborhood. So that's great. Earlier on Tuesday, which is today, 2 women were killed in barrages of rockets that struck down. One of the women was identified as Soma Satosh, an Indian national who worked as a caregiver for an elderly woman in Ashkelon. Santosh was killed in the strike, while the elderly woman sustained various injuries. The rockets fired at Tel Aviv set off sirens. The barrage came after Israel bombed a 13-story building in Gaza. Over 700 rockets were fired into Israel from Gaza, including 150 that fell inside the strip and another 200 that were intercepted by the Iron Dome, which is one of the coolest things that you'll ever see, which we're going to look at in a minute. Prime Minister Netanyahu announced the intensity and the rate of attacks will increase. He said, "We are in the midst of a campaign. Since yesterday, the IDF has been attacking hundreds of Hamas and Islamic Jihad sites in Gaza. We have neutralized commanders. We have hit many of their quality targets. Hamas will be struck in ways that it did not expect." The Israelis were killed. One woman in her 60s. Over 100 Israelis have been injured as close to a dozen buildings were hit by rockets. Israel has began targeting top terrorist commanders. The ATGM unit in Gaza City was prepared to carry out anti-tank guided missile attacks at the same time of the strike. Another Palestinian terrorist was killed. It was identified as Sama Abd al-Mamalek. The IDF and Shin Bet, Israeli security agency, said that he was attacked in a hideout together with a number of additional Islamic Jihad operatives. The IDF said that he was in charge of the PIJ's rocket arsenal. In another strike, another deputy commander of the Islamic Jihad Gaza Brigade was also killed when the IDF struck an apartment in an 8-story building in Gaza's Rimal neighborhood. He was the brother of Baha Abu al-Ada, who was killed in the Israeli targeted killing of 2019. So we've got an interesting couple clips here. I want to show you sort of what the Iron Dome looks like. I've always been fascinated with the Iron Dome, and I was reading about it again here on today on Wikipedia just to learn a little bit more about it. And it's this missile shield, really, that is very, very effective from what the numbers say. And basically what happens is when somebody fires a rocket over your airspace, you've got these different battery installations that are set up all around the perimeter of your country, and they cost $50 million a piece, and every single rocket that they shoot up is another $40,000, but they're worth it because they're knocking other rockets out of the sky and saving lives on the ground. So it's a crazy thing. One side shoots a rocket up into the air, the other side shoots a rocket up to hit the rocket that's flying through the air to disable it so that the first rocket doesn't come down and land in a populated area. And you got to just understand, the physics of this. It's like shooting a gun and then shooting another gun to hit that bullet that came out of the first gun with your gun, just boom, and then hitting it. And they do it. It's crazy. So it's really impressive. And I want to show you a couple clips of this. Now this, I don't know that this is necessarily the Iron Dome. I think it is. Let's watch. So those explosions in the air are the two rockets meeting, the two missiles. We have another clip here. So watch this. This is from the Israel Defense Forces. It says raw footage. This is the moment the Iron Dome intercepted a barrage of rockets over Tel Aviv and central Israel. You can see here. Watch. So as I mentioned, you're watching these little explosions in the sky. These are two rockets going up going up and hitting each other and then exploding in the air so that they don't land on civilian territory. Here it is. Look at that. Very, very intense. Looks like something out of a movie or Star Wars or something like that. But every one of those is an enemy attack that is being exploded and intercepted by a defense system. It's crazy. All right, let's take a look at some questions from watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We've got Jeremy Matrita says, Trump negotiated many deals during his tenure. Biden came in and immediately started talking to Iran and undoing peace in the Middle East. It's hard to argue with it. It's hard to argue with that, Jeremy. I mean, it's kind of a difference. Okay, we have like one approach to geopolitics. 3 months, 5 months later, here we go. We have a different version. Newbie of Death says, this is the result of the Balfour Declaration, not 1,200 years of religious differences. There you go. See, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Thank you for educating me. I'm going to have to look up what the Balfour Declaration is and what that's all about. We've got Nadar Blasir says, Dave Smith has a good bit about this. His solution, move Israel to Canada. All right, I like it. But Canada's rough right now. Have you listened to Viva? It's rough. I don't know that anybody wants to go to Canada right now. Oh my gosh. We got E. Dantes. I was going to make a Nazi joke, but I'm not going to do that. E. Dantes in the house says, my brother worked at the embassy in Jerusalem, retired in 2020. I was in Jerusalem last year and saw all this happening. The truth is they fire rockets almost every day. Only most of them are junk rockets that don't pose a threat. They are only to harass the Iron Dome. This time, these were more serious rockets, but confined to areas closer to Gaza Strip. One of the bigger issues this week was the craziness going on the Temple Mount Dome of the Rock. Looks like we have a follow-up here. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me because I have noticed this, like I said, my entire life. I've been, every year I've been alive, there's been conflict there on that strip of land, and it just seems like it's never ending, which is tiresome. And then our last question of the day comes from Tremendous in the house, says, I tend to agree with you. I try to understand the importance of holy lands, but God is everywhere. I think he would prefer that they stop killing people over some land and focus more on love thy neighbor. Then again, if the importance of the holy land is what you're taught your whole life, it's hard to make that point to the people that care so strongly about it. I feel for all the people who hurt living through this. And it's exactly my take on it, really. I mean, I get the importance of religion and spirituality and tradition and, sort of keeping the social fabric woven together tightly as it exists across generations and ages. Very much support that. Very strong favor of that. But not at the year is 2021. Okay. We should not be killing each other over this stuff anymore. Humbly, in my perspective on this thing. I think that you can have a spiritual connection with your Savior, with your higher power in many different shapes and forms. I'm not real sure what this is all about, this one strip of land that we have been killing each other my whole life and well beyond before that, before I ever stepped foot on the planet. We're investing a lot of time, money, and most importantly, lives. There are kids over there right now, on both sides of the conflict that have to deal with grown-ass adults throwing rockets at each other because of something. I don't know what it is. Okay, and I'm a religious person. I'm a Catholic person. I get it. Right? If somebody was going to take out the Vatican, I'd be pissed about that. But can we work towards a solution? Because currently the only solution seems to be this just inevitable stalemate. And every so often we have a new flare-up, more dead people, billions more dollars being lobbed around all over the place, and no actual progress. I just want to see a little bit of progress. All right, so want to thank you for joining the program today. I want to thank those questions that came over from locals. Big thanks to our newest subscriber and supporter over there, guy by the name of Robute. Robute is in the house. Want to thank you for being here. Also want to remind you, we got a couple things coming up here on Zoom. We've got a monthly locals meetup via Zoom Those are coming up on May 22nd, 7 to 8 p.m. I'm still creating a registration form for this, so I'm going to post that over on Locals. Then we also have on Saturday, June 26th, just about a month later, another meetup. So mark those 2 dates down, May 22nd, June 26th. These are going to be on Saturdays, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So it's going to be 4 p.m. Arizona time. And we're just going to chat. We're going to connect with one another, get to know each other, right? We were doing this sort of on Clubhouse, but it has, we're going to try it on Zoom. Maybe we'll go back to Clubhouse. Clubhouse is on Android now, so that's a thing. But we're going to do it on Zoom, so go over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com and register if you want to attend. And I hope that you do, because it's going to be fun. We're going to get to know each other and maybe come up with some ideas about where the community can go from here. Then mark another date, June 12th. We've got our law enforcement interaction training. This is going to be a live virtual seminar hosted by yours truly, also available for free over at Locals. So we're going to do this training on the basics of interacting with law enforcement, things like, cell phone confiscation, traffic stops, what happens if the police show up at your house, what happens when they pull you over, what should you say, what should you not say, and how to deal with the police, really. So it's going to be about a 2-hour workshop. I envision about 90 minutes, and then we'll leave about 30 minutes for questions. We'll take a break in there. I want to do some interactivity stuff, so I want you to sort of think this through. So if you've got, a young kid, if you've got somebody who's, about ready to get carted off to college, or somebody who's just driving, a high school kid, if you are let's say somebody who's dating, if you're that guy who's on Tinder, Tinder and Bumble and all of them, and you're out dating, it's scary out there, right? A lot of people out there that, might get you into a little bit of hot water. So you want to know how to deal with law enforcement when you're being questioned. And so that is coming up on June 12th. Once again, free for all Locals subscribers and supporters. So we want to just thank you for that. So if you're over there, check that out. You can also, if you support us, grab a free copy of my book. It's called Beginning to Winning. Download a copy of my existence systems, download a copy of the slides, and many other things. There's a lot of good stuff at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And before we get out of here, I am a criminal defense attorney. Just want to remind you of that. If you happen to know anybody in the state of Arizona who has been charged with a crime, we would be honored and humbled if you sent them our direction so that we had the opportunity to help. We love to help good people who've been charged with crimes find safety, clarity, and hope in their cases and in their lives. And so if you know anybody who's facing DUI charges, domestic violence charges, misdemeanor offenses, felonies, if they want to clear up an old warrant or quash something that is suspending their license, we can help with that. If they want to apply for federal benefits or reinstate their right to vote or their ability to possess a firearm, there's a lot of things we can do to help sort of nudge people back on the right path. And so if you happen to know anybody who needs that help in the state of Arizona, we'd be honored and humbled if you sent them our way. We love what we do. We have a great team here, and we are very passionate about our work. We offer free case evaluations. Come on in. We'll give you a free copy of my book as well. And that is it from me, everybody. I want to thank you for being here. Apologies for some of the technical difficulties. We'll get those sorted out and fixed tomorrow. We're going to be back here same time, same place. It is at 4 p.m. Arizona time, which is 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And for that one Florida man, everybody have a tremendous evening. Sleep very well. Have a nice hearty dinner, because I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.